Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
They were the god of the skies with fire that could melt stones. In the world of Game of Thrones, dragons weren't just beasts. They were legends, symbols of absolute power, loyalty, and destruction. But among them, some stood taller, roared louder, and burned hotter. Today we're counting down the top 10 strongest dragons that ruled Westeros and beyond. Prepare for fire and blood. Number 10. Seasmoke. Seasmoke, the silvery grey dragon ridden by Lenor Balerion. Though smaller than the giant-like Balerion and Vhagar, Seasmoke was unmatched in agility and speed. During the war for the Stepstones, Seasmoke became a key player, sweeping down to burn enemies and turn the tide of battle. What makes Seasmoke special isn't just his prowess in battle, but his bond with Lenor, a rider who didn't conform to the traditional Targaryen mold. Together, they prove that dragons are more than weapons. They are extensions of their rider spirits. Seasmoke's story reminds us that sometimes it's not the size of the dragon that matters, but the heart they bring to the fight. Number 9. Syrax. Named after a Valyrian goddess, was Rhaenyra Targaryen's beloved dragon, with golden yellow scales that shimmered in the sunlight. She was as majestic as the princess who rode her. While Syrax wasn't as battle-hardened as some of her peers, her loyalty to Rhaenyra made her a vital part of the Dance of the Dragons. Picture this: a young Rhaenyra flying high above King's Landing, the wind in her hair, and the city under her shadow. Syrax wasn't just a dragon, she was a statement. Rhaenyra's claim to the Iron Throne was etched in every bit of Syrax's wings, but when war broke out, Syrax's inexperience in battle showed, reminding us that even the most beautiful dragons are not invincible. Her story is one of loyalty, tragedy, and the price of power. Number 8. Vermithor.
Naijot Maziz Vermithor.
Vermithor the Bronze Fury earned his name for his shining bronze scales and his fearsome roar that could shake the skies. Once ridden by King Jaehaerys I, Vermithor was one of the largest dragons of his time, second only to Balerion and Vhagar in sheer size. His wingspan alone was enough to darken the battlefield, and his fire could incinerate entire armies. In House of the Dragon, we see the effort it takes to bring Vermithor back into the fold. A dragon of such power doesn't simply bow to anyone. When he finally takes flight again, it's a reminder of Targaryen's destiny's unmatched strength. Vermithor isn't just a big dragon, he's a symbol of all Targaryen might waiting to rise again. Number 7. Viserion. Viserion, the Golden Beauty among the Daenerys dragons, was always loyal and fierce, but his story took a chilling turn. During the battle beyond the wall, he was struck down by the Night King, only to rise again not as a dragon of fire, but one of ice and death. As an undead dragon, Viserion became a weapon of devastation, his icy blue flames capable of bringing down even the wall itself. Can you imagine the terror of seeing something so majestic, now twisted into an abomination? Viserion wasn't just powerful, he was a living storm, a force of nature that once symbolized hope and triumph. But in death, he became something far greater, something far more terrifying. Viserion's rise wasn't a fall from grace, it was an evolution into a weapon of unparalleled strength, a reminder that even death cannot contain true power. Number 6. Meleys. Known as the Red Queen, Meleys was a dragon that turned heads and conquered hearts. With her crimson scales and golden-tinted horns, she was the epitome of beauty meeting brutality. Don't let her elegance fool you. Meleys was lightning fast, and in battle she was as deadly as the fire she breathed. Ridden by Rhaenys Targaryen, the queen who never was, Meleys became a symbol of defiance during the Dance of the Dragons. Picture the moment when Meleys burst through the floor of the dragon pit. It wasn't just a display of her raw power, it was a declaration. You may have crowned your king, but the Dragon Lords still rule the skies. It's this ferocity and grace that makes Meleys unforgettable. Number 5. The Cannibal. The Cannibal was no ordinary dragon, he was the staff of nightmares. Living on Dragonstone, this rogue dragon earned his name by feasting on his own kind, eggs, hatchlings, and even smaller dragons. Untamed and riderless, the Cannibal was a force of nature, wild and uncontrolled. What made him truly terrifying wasn't just his savagery, but the sheer mystery surrounding him. No one dared to approach him, let alone to try to tame him. In a world where dragons are symbols of power, the Cannibal stood apart as a reminder of the chaos dragons could unleash when left unchecked. One that made even the bravest riders think twice before venturing into his territory. He wasn't just a dragon, he was a legend. Number 4. Caraxes. Nicknamed the Bloodworm, Caraxes was as fierce and unpredictable as his rider Daemon Targaryen, with his elongated serpent-like body and blood red scales. Caraxes was a dragon unlike any other. His agility in the skies and his unrelenting ferocity made him a nightmare for anyone who dared to face him in battle. One of Caraxes' most iconic moments came during the climatic battle over the God's Eye, as Daemon and Caraxes faced Aemond and Vhagar. It wasn't just a fight, it was a clash of titans. Caraxes' final act of destruction showed the world even in death, dragons leave a mark that echoed through history. Caraxes wasn't just a beast, he was Daemon's shadow, his fury and his chaos unleashed. Number 3. Drogon. Drogon, the last great dragon of Westeros, wasn't just Daenerys Targaryen's mount, he was her weapon, her symbol, and her wrath incarnate. Born in the ashes of Khal Drogo's funeral pyre, Drogon was a rebirth of Valyrian glory, carrying the weight of a dynasty on his wings. From the liberation of Slaver's Bay to the burning of King's Landing, Drogo wasn't just a participant, he was a game changer. But Drogon's story isn't just one of destruction. He shared an unbreakable bond with Daenerys, one that made their final moments together heartbreakingly powerful. When Daenerys fell, Drogon didn't just turn his fury on Jon Snow. Instead, he melted the Iron Throne itself, as if blaming it for her death. In Drogon, we see the echoes of the ancient dragons, majestic, terrifying, and ultimately tragic. Number 2. Vhagar. If Balerion was the king, then Vhagar was his queen of carnage. The second largest dragon in Westeros' history, Vhagar was a living, flying war machine. She fought alongside Balerion during Aegon's conquest, and even a century later, her flames were still scorching battlefields. By the time of House of the Dragon, she had grown so massive that her very presence could strike fear into armies. Ridden by Aemond Targaryen during the Dance of the Dragons, Vhagar proved that age didn't diminish her power. Picture the fateful stormy skies above Shipbreaker Bay, where young Lucerys Valerian tried to outrun her on his smaller dragon Eryx. Vhagar's immense jaw made Eryx seem like a mere snack, and when she unleashed her fury, it was an unstoppable storm of fire and destruction. Vhagar's legacy is one of might, age, and sheer devastation. Number 1. Balerion the Black Dread. Imagine a dragon so massive that his wingspan could eclipse an entire castle, and his fire could melt swords into rivers of molten steel. This wasn't just a dragon, this was the closest thing to a god Westeros has ever seen. Balerion was Aegon the Conqueror's weapon of choice, the dragon whose fire forged the Iron Throne itself. But his legend doesn't stop at conquest. Balerion's size was unparalleled. His skull alone could fill an entire room in a red cape. When he roared, it sounded like the end of the world. And if you ever doubted his dominance, just ask Harrenhal, whose mighty fortress of Harrenhal melted like wax under Balerion's fire. The Black Dread wasn't just a dragon, he was the harbinger of a new era. And no one, not a man, not a kingdom, could stand in his way.